Good morning, Namaste, Sat Sri Akal, Salam Alaikum, and Jai Swaminarayan. It is a privilege and an honor for me to welcome Pujya Brahmavihari Swami from the BAPS Sri Swaminarayan Sanstha. And of course, the warmest welcome to all of you who have joined in from afar. Welcome. Let us request Pujya Brahmavihari Swami to enlighten us with the importance of believing in others. Let us begin with a brief recap of the previous webinar where Pujya Brahmavihari Swami spoke on the power of self-belief.
If you don't believe in yourself, who else will? Arjun drops his bow and arrow, sinks into a depression, completely confounded. Lord Krishna tells Arjun, the only way to come out of this state of grave depression and despondency, because Arjun starts arguing against his set of beliefs or against his self-belief. Krishna says something else. He says, Klebyam masma gamaha partha neitve tat upapadyate shudram hridayam durbalyam tyaktva tishta parantapa. Arjun, get rid of this cowardice of his heart. Rise and do and perform your own duty. To instill back self-belief is more important in life. Yes, stress is difficult and challenging, but if you believe that stress is harmful and can kill you, it does. And if you believe that stress is harmless and it can help you, it really helps you. So there are so many things that you can do with believing in yourself, but you need to believe in others.
In life, it's a great honor for me to introduce Pujya Brahmavihari Swami, the inspirational saint overseeing the development of the BAPS Hindu Mandir in Abu Dhabi. Pujya Brahmavihari Swami originates from Leicester, UK. He has a highly brilliant educational background and was offered a scholarship by Oxford University to study medicine. He was initiated into the sainthood by his guru, Pramukh Swami Maharaj, in 1981 when he was only 16 years. He then studied Sanskrit, Eastern and Western philosophies, and world religions. He's an astounding orator and a writer. He is serving as a senior sadhu, leading various key departments of BAPS Swaminarayan Sanstha internationally. He is also part of the core team that designed and made the two Akshardham temples, the great ones in Gandhinagar and New Delhi. He is currently heading the BAPS Hindu Mandir project, the first traditional Hindu Mandir in the UAE. I now welcome Pujya Brahmavihari Swamiji to enlighten us with his words of wisdom and qualities that will help us believe in others and the successes that we can attain by doing so. This talk will be followed by an interactive Q&A session which may address many of our questions. His topic today is belief in others.
Shri Swaminarayan Bhagwan Jai, Akshar Purushottam Maharaj Ni Jai, Radha Krishna Devani Jai, Siyavar Ramachandra Bhagwan Ni Jai, Umapati Mahadevani Jai, Guru Hari Pramukh Swami Maharaj Ni Jai, Guru Hari Mahan Swami Maharaj Ni Jai, Pramukh Swami Maharaj Shatabdi Mahotsav Ni Jai. In the last discussion, we have come to a conclusion that self-belief or belief in oneself has the ability to give you courage and confidence to almost do anything. Those men and women who have self-will and self-belief have been able to attain success in the fields of their choice. But I also want to ask you that there are things which we alone cannot do. Even if you are a successful lady or a successful man, how can you bring harmony in your family all on your own? For that, self-belief is not enough. We need to believe in others. We need to believe in everyone around us. Even if you're a successful person who has won the elections hands down because of your self-belief and self-will, but by being the president or prime minister, how can you run the country on your own? There too, we need to have belief in others. Until we trust, respect others, we cannot genuinely run a corporation, a country, or even your own establishment. So just as self-belief is important, believing in others is equally important, if not more so. Just imagine that through your self-belief and success, suppose you became the king. But if you are a king in the middle of the Sahara Desert where there is nobody around you, and you trust nobody and believe in nobody, what good is it to be a king in the middle of a desert with nobody around and nobody to trust and nobody to share your kingdom with? So just as you are important in the equation of life, others are equally important in the joy and happiness of our lives. When we understand that, we'll come to the core of the idea that believing in others is perhaps more important in sharing our joys and our successes. To give you a simple example which highlights both ends of the same truth, the importance of self-belief and also the importance and the need of belief in others. In the late 1800s, George Mallory, the famous British mountaineer who had attempted to climb Everest twice, and unfortunately he passed away during his last attempt. He was a teacher, a well-educated man, but who loved the mountains. There is a small story which has been dramatized, but the story gives you a very meaningful thought. When he was a young kid, and when his class was taken to a small hillock for climbing in Scotland, the teacher rounded up all the boys and girls, and the teacher said, "Look, now we are starting the first skill of mountaineering." By that time, George Mallory, as a young boy, had already fallen in love with climbing and mountains. So when the teacher told everybody that tomorrow, make sure you travel light because we are climbing the small hillock, all the kids agreed and they were all nodding. Then he said, "Please make sure everybody bring their whistles." And the kids asked, "What are the whistles for?" He said, "This is a mountainous trek. And as we go along, if somebody gets lost or if somebody loses his trail, then they have to blow the whistle and we would know and identify that person, that boy, that he's there, so we can rescue him." So everybody has to bring their whistle. Rule number 2. And the last thing the teacher said, and I want to tell everybody, do not bring anything that you do not need. Mark those words. Do not bring anything that you do not need. So all the boys and all the students, they separated, and next early morning, at the foothill of the hillock, small mountain, everybody got together and the teacher started calling out each boy and girl's names. And as the teacher gave the name, the student had to blow the whistle to make sure that they are present and also that they have their whistle. Every name came one after another and every kid blew their whistles. But when the name of George Mallory was spoken out, there was no whistle. Again, the teacher said, "George Mallory," no whistle. Third time, the teacher said, George Mallory, and he looked. George Mallory was there, but he didn't have a whistle. So the teacher said, George, where's your whistle? He said, look, I didn't bring it. He said, did I not tell you that bring the whistle because you might get lost, something might happen, you'll need the whistle. He said, sir, but you also told us that do not bring anything that you don't need. He said, that means you don't need a whistle? He says, yes, I don't need a whistle. He said, why? What if you get lost? He said, mountains are my friends. I will not get lost. What if you get hurt? I love the mountains and mountains love me. They will never hurt me. Listening to this retort from George Mallory, the teacher got upset and he said, look, go back to our accommodation, go and fetch your whistle and we'll wait for you. But run and bring back the whistle straight away. The little George Mallory, he ran to his place and he got hold of the whistle. By the time he came back, as a form of punishment, the teacher had taken the entire class onto the journey towards the mountaintop. Mallory all alone. And deliberately the teacher, as a form of punishment, left him behind for his disobedience. But suddenly Mallory looked and he saw a mountain goat. The mountain goat doesn't take the path that humans take. It jumps from rock to rock, ledge to ledge. And as he looked fascinated by the mountain goat. And he picked that path. He took that path from ledge to ledge, rock to rock, and clambered and climbed up the rock face as well. As George Mallory went up, he could hear an entire train of whistles coming up slowly, slowly. He had already crossed them, and as he reached the top, none of the members of the class had arrived. After almost 10-15 minutes, the teacher arrived with the entire class, following him, whistle after whistle. Looking at George Mallory, whom he had left behind, and wondering how he got up there, he asked George, when did you overtake us? That's when Mallory calmly replied, sir, I never overtook you. I just found my own path. In life, most of the time, we are struggling to overtake people, compete with people. But when you have self-belief and when you have self-will, we tend to find our own path. So this is an example of George Mallory at his early age, when he loved mountains and he could climb small hills and hillocks on his own, needing nobody, no guidance and no support. But during his expeditions for Everest, it wasn't an alone or a lonely way. Because when we have to do something which we can manage, you alone are okay. But when we have to attempt something that's impossible or beyond ourselves, you need a team. We need to believe in others. Mallory himself had said many times that attempting Everest was no game of a single lonely person. For that, we needed a team. In his final attempt for Mount Everest, there was a team of 60 porters and almost 12 to 13 mountaineers and people, members of support staff, 70 to 75. And still at the end of the day, only one or two could make the attempt of the final summit. So yes, self-will and self-belief can help you to do certain things on your own. But when we have to relate to society and larger things and more important things, we need to believe in others. In the language of the mountaineers, it is known as a rope team. There's a rope and most of the team members are tied to the rope. There's an advantage or disadvantage to this rope team, that if you have a good rope team, you are completely safe. Suppose any one of the members falls into a crevasse, the other members who are tied to it can save him. But suppose somebody falls in and he takes 2 or 3 people with him, then it also jeopardizes the entire team. So it is said that in a rope team, everybody takes care of the weakest link. It's not about the best and the strongest. It's about saving and helping the weakest. Emphasizing the need of teamwork and believing in others. Tenzing Norway, the mountaineer who climbed Mount Everest in 1953 with Edmund Hillary, he says that you do not climb mountains like Everest by racing ahead or competing with your comrades. You climb it slowly, carefully, completely unselfish as a team. It is important to understand that something that we want to do that is impossible can only be done by many hands. Because man alone is nothing. Together, we are everything. You look at human history. Alone, man is not the fastest, the strongest, or the most fearless. A cheetah is faster. A bull is stronger. A lion is by far more fearless. But when we unite as a human race, we begin to rule the whole world. We have grown as a civilization because of believing in others. The way man has progressed and the way the world has developed, it is because of our interdependencies and our sureties to each other to stand by each other. Take, for example, anything on this earth today. Can you and I do it alone? Take a pencil. Can you make a pencil on your own? Where will you go and mine the graphite? Where will you cut the trees that are needed for the pencil? Where will you form the pencil without an industry? Even the simplest thing like a pen, or about the plastic? Even the smallest thing like food. Have you grown it? Some farmer has grown it. Somebody has taken care of it. Somebody has processed it. It's come to you and you eat. Even the smallest thing on this world, we are interdependent upon each other. So we literally have no choice. Yes, we should believe in ourselves, but we should also believe in others. When we believe in others, we grow multifold. If you believe in others, you yourself will become bigger than yourself. How? Suppose you are flying in an airplane. You are a simple passenger. And if the journey is about 6-7 hours, very comfortably, as we seatbelt ourselves into the seats, we can simply fall asleep. Why is a passenger so much at ease in a plane which he knows nothing about? He doesn't know how it flies. He cannot fix it. He doesn't know the route. He doesn't know the timing. Yet you can go to sleep. The reason is the passenger has complete faith that the pilot is doing his job. We've never checked the credentials of the pilot, but still we have faith and we believe in him. Why is the pilot at ease? Because the pilot has complete faith in his co-pilot, that if he misses something out, the co-pilot will point it out. Why are both the pilot and the co-pilot completely at ease in an instrument or in a vessel that they did not create? Because the pilot and the co-pilot have complete faith and belief that all the groundsmen have done their job properly. They have completely checked every critical part of the plane. So they are assured. Why are the groundsmen at ease? Because all the charts that have been given by the scientists and the engineers, they trust them. That we need to check just 6, 7 or 8 or 20 or 25 pieces and information. And that's it. The plane is safe. Why are the engineers so sure and confident of themselves? Because they believe in the calculations given by the scientists. Ultimately, you as a passenger could sleep because The engineers have faith in the calculations of the scientists. The groundsmen have faith in the checkpoint systems of the engineers. The pilots have faith in the groundsmen, and you have faith in the pilot and the co-pilot. When you believe in others, not only are you at peace and calm, but you as a simple individual have grown. How, you'll ask me? Without being an engineer, without being a scientist, without learning to be a pilot, without learning to be a groundsman, you are sitting in a plane and flying peacefully. You have become all that because you put faith and trust in somebody else. So when we have belief in others, it just makes you a bigger and a much better person by default. But when we believe in others, it's not only that you grow, you also help others grow. One historical example I would like to share with you is of Nelson Mandela. We all know that he was unjustly put into jail and he suffered endlessly. Nevertheless, he never lost the spirit of humanity. For no fault of his own and on sheer basis of racism, Mandela was jailed for almost 27 years. His prime life was stolen away from him. One of the persons who was behind the conspiracy of jailing Mandela, an active person, was John Foster. Not only was he elevated in his party, but a time came when he became the Prime Minister of South Africa. Often he joked that it was his dream to see Mandela hanged. And seriously, he tried to push a bill in the parliament to make sure that Mandela is hanged. Every now and then that Mandela was about to be freed, another conspiracy would be hatched and he would be re-jailed. Almost 27 years in jail, and of those 27 years, 18 years on Robben Island. The harshest conditions anybody could tolerate. I myself have seen the cell where Nelson Mandela was incarcerated. It was so small that he could hardly stretch himself completely. Any man in his position would be hurting and hating, and his entire personality would be warped. But not of Mandela. When in 1990, Mandela was about to be freed, as fate would have it, the regime was ousted. John Foster, he became a normal citizen. And when Nelson Mandela was about to be freed, international media asked Mandela, Mr. Mandela, what do you think of John Foster? Here was a man who had schemed and conspired to put an end to Mandela's life and not an end to his suffering. And yet Mandela casually brushes that question aside and he says, he's a decent man. Not only did he forgive him, I want to emphasize that he also established an idea of believing in them. How, you'd ask me? This small incident I have heard directly from one of the team members of Nelson Mandela, Isu Chiba, who was a person of Indian origin, a South African who hailed from Nosari. He was also one of the ANC leaders, African National Congress's leader. When we were doing an assembly to pay a tribute to His Holiness Brahmavihari Swami Maharaj in Johannesburg, Isu Chiba, in his very late age, he was sitting next to me. Unfortunately, he just passed away a couple of years ago. But he was sitting next to me. And he said, Swamiji, that this idea of having faith in others or believing in others, I have seen in Pramukh Swami Maharaj and I had seen in Nelson Mandela. And I was wonderstruck and I said, here's a person who was with Nelson Mandela. So I asked him, how? He said, I was with Nelson Mandela in Robben Island. I was jailed for about 16 years. And the suffering, I had to undergo developed such a hatred within my heart for everybody who had done injustice to us that I was fuming. That I could not meet my wife, she could not understand English. I could not talk to her in Gujarati because that was the law that if you talk to anybody other than in English or Afrikaans, your jail sentence would be increased. So for almost 16 years, I saw my wife age whenever she would come to see me in jail. And we stood at each other, looking at each other, just staring and seeing her grow older without exchanging a word, like simple dumb animals. So I was hurting so much that I had spoken to other inmates saying that if I get out and when we do get out, I will hunt down every man who has schemed against us and conspired against us, and I would personally kill him. When Mandela found out that I was planning revenge, this is inside Robben Island, while they were jailed. Finding out, Mandela called me and asked me that, Isu, why are we here in jail? I said, we are fighting for equality, we are fighting for liberty, and we are fighting for dignity. So Mandela said that if we get out of this jail and we do the same thing that they have done to us, where is dignity and equality in that? Liberty has no meaning without dignity and equality. So let us resolve today. And what was the resolution? That if we get out of jail, we will go to the homes of every white man who has done injustice to us and drink tea with their wives and assure their wives that no harm will come to their husbands. We need to assure them that despite the fact they did not believe in us, we still believe in them. Imagine, with this feeling, Nelson Mandela became a leader of New South Africa. This idea of believing in everyone, that created a footprint for other leaders to follow. That if you believe in the nation and the people, you can create a nation that is unified. I believe that when you believe in others, of course you grow. But when you believe in others like Nelson Mandela did, everyone grows. The whole nation has grown. But then again, when you believe in others, even at the cost of your own self, completely selflessly, it just does not help others grow. It helps humanity grow as a whole. It's a classic Hindu example of Ramanujacharya. When he was younger and he had gone to a village called Goshtipur, and there was a spiritual leader whose name was Goshtipurna. When he went to his spiritual master, the spiritual leader taught him an Ashtaksharam mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya. And that mantra, he said that if you say it and chant it regularly, you will be redeemed and you will reach heaven. So, Ramanujacharya, he kept chanting that mantra, hoping and feeling confident that he will reach heaven. But he was not just one person who just believed in that. He believed in everybody else as well. So one fine morning, to everyone's surprise, they saw him on the roof of the tallest building in the whole village. From top of the roof, he was chanting out the special mantra which the Guru had told him to keep it close to his heart as a secret and not reveal it. And he was chanting out the mantra, Om Namo Narayanaya, Om Namo Narayanaya. And the whole village was chanting with Ramanujacharya, Om Namo Narayanaya. The Guru found out that this Shishya of his has revealed this mantra publicly. He was furious. He came running down and he shouted at the top of his voice and he told Ramanujacharya, but what are you doing? He said, Guruji, I am sharing this mantra with everybody. Guruji said, that you fool, you have just disobeyed me. He said, I want to ask you, Guruji, anybody who chants this mantra, will they reach heaven? He said, yes, that's the power of the mantra. Of course they will reach heaven. He said, but you have broken the vow of obedience to the Guru, so you will go to hell. That's when Ramanujacharya smiled and said, I am willing to go to hell if hundreds and thousands of others can go to heaven. He said that I do believe in myself, but I also believe in the liberation of others. When you share your beliefs, when you share your successes, when you believe in others and see them happier, that is the goal of life. President Kalam often used to say that I have learned a secret from His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj. And what is that secret? Once in Ahmedabad, when he had come to see Pramukh Swami, and as he was traveling in the lift down to the ground floor, hundreds of reporters had gathered around to get a bite from President Kalam. But as we were moving through this crowd, one of the sadhus asked, Mr. President, at this age, how can you be so lively and so happy? And how can you make everyone around you so happy and so lively? President Kalam turned to the sadhus and said, this little secret I have learned from His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj. All of us were dumbfounded, wondering what that secret could be. He said, every time I've come to meet Pramukh Swami, I've got this feeling that he always silently asks, what can I give? He asks me, he asks everybody, he asks you, he asks little children, he asks even the youth and everybody he meets that what can I give to bring a smile to the lips of everyone else? It is not about what can I get. In life, very often we think that we get ahead by getting things. In reality, we grow and get ahead by giving things, by giving our time, giving our love, by sharing our values, by sharing our successes. His Holiness Pramukh Swami Maharaj, when I look at his life, he has given his all, everything to everyone that he meets. And that's the reason everyone is so happy and lively in his presence. One of the main sutras of Pramukh Swami Maharaj, it was not just a motto, it was his lifeline. In the joy of others lies our own. In the good of others lies our own. And in the progress of others lies our own. When Pramukh Swami Maharaj was so focused on others, of course he believed in others. It's not just about self-belief, it's about a higher belief in others. When you have that belief, everyone, humanity in general grows. Very often Pramukh Swami said that I have never had a thought of ill will towards anyone. I have never had a thought of hurting anyone ever in my life. Imagine a heart, imagine a personality that just does not believe in himself, but he believes in others to such a level. Pramukh Swami Maharaj has showed us a way that, yes, you can do great things. Yes, you could be good, but being good is not good enough. You need to be good for others. What do I mean by being good to others? Perhaps this small idea will throw light into everything that we have spoken today. If I ask you, is water important for your life or not? A glass of water. Of course, water is an essential element that keeps us alive, just like air. How many glasses of water should you drink a day? To be precise and perfect, somebody would say 8 or 10. But if I ask you, do you drink 8 or 10 glasses? Maybe no, but you still drink water. But if I ask you if water is so important for life, and when you are drinking water, it is perhaps the most important thing you are doing to keep alive. But how many glasses of water have you drunk till now in your life? You can't even remember. Despite the fact it's important for your life, you can't remember that how many glasses of water you have drunk. But if you are passing on a hot afternoon and somebody is dying of thirst and he's crying water and water, if you give a glass of water and save somebody's life with one glass of water, will you ever forget that glass of water? No. You'll keep telling that story to your friends, to your children, to generation after generation. The glasses of water that save you are not important for you to remember, but one glass of water that saves somebody else, you can never forget. So remember, when you believe in yourself, it's important. But when you believe in your own children, who else will? When you believe in your own friends, who else can? When you believe in your own culture, in the religion that you have, when you believe in your own country, I believe that belief has the ability to create and raise the standard of humanity. So when you believe in yourself, it's important, but when we believe in others, it just makes us a better and a bigger person. It has the power to completely transform the nature of a human being. In conclusion, I would leave you with a true incident of Dr. Viktor Frankl, the famous Austrian psychologist, who himself was put into the concentration camp, and so was his wife. Both he and his wife were separated right in the beginning. But during his time, as he tried to help other inmates in the concentration camp, where the conditions were so dire that you were lucky to live for a day and you measured your life in minutes and seconds, Viktor Frankl developed a habit of talking to his wife in an imaginative way. Every morning he would talk to his wife, what breakfast would we have? Evening he would talk to her, what is ready for dinner? There was nothing in the concentration camp. People were starving, people were dying, but he had this imaginary conversation with his wife regularly. He believed his wife was so real in his mind that till he got out of the concentration camp after the war, the day before, he spent hours with his wife in his mind, planning which country should we settle in, what should we open as a profession, how would we live, and how would we decorate the home. All these conversations completely imaginary. And he survived on these conversations as he came out. But the sorry fact and the shocking fact was, when he came out, he found out that his wife had died on the very first day of the concentration camp. Physically, his wife was no longer alive, but he kept her alive in his mind. The sheer belief in his own wife kept Viktor Frankl alive. He says, until you have found somebody bigger than you to love, and until you have found a cause bigger than you to believe in, you will never know real happiness. Someone bigger than you to love and a cause bigger than you to believe in. In the next discussion, we will be talking about not just belief in oneself, not just belief in others, but how can you make yourself much bigger than you are, transform the entire nature of a human being by believing in somebody much bigger than you, in a cause much bigger than human existence, by believing in a guru and believing in God. Jai Swaminarayan.
Swamiji, as always, thank you for your beautiful, motivational, and inspirational thoughts on how we can believe in others. It has really inspired me, and I'm sure that the audience feels the same. As John F. Kennedy, the famous, well-known 35th President of the United States of America, has once said, united there is nothing we cannot do, divided there is nothing we can do. It was truly eye-opening to find out how important believing in others actually is, because alone one is not capable of accomplishing his or her goals. So we thank you for providing us with this great insight, Swamiji. Now I would like to call upon Chirayu Patel and Pawan Bhatia to take us to the Q&A session with Pujya Brahmavihari Swamiji.
Good evening, Swami. Both Pawan and I would like to thank you for taking part in this question and answer session. So the first question we have this evening is from Mehul Bhai, who lives in Kuwait. Good evening, Swami. His question is, as a human tendency, when you do good to others, you would expect the other person to do good to you. What do you do when the other person not only does not do good to you, but also tries to harm you?
Well, Mehul, I believe that when you do good, it has to be done selflessly, without any selfish motive. If you do good with a want of being returned, that somebody else does good to you, then it's selfish. And in goodness, there cannot be any bargaining. You look at all great people's lives, they've continued to do good without the want of return. And I believe that is a virtue that makes you timeless. I know as we live in this world, we want other people to return our goodness. We also fear that if we do good to others, others may do good to us or may not do good to us. But let's think of it objectively. Things that really intrinsically make you happy or are needed by you for your existence are not necessarily dictated by what others do. For example, do you eat only if others eat? No. You eat because it nourishes you, and you do not really pay attention to whether other people eat or not. For you, it's important, so you eat. Would you go to sleep only if others go to sleep? No. We sleep because it's necessary that we take rest. Similarly, if you were to tell me that I'll only breathe if the rest of my friends breathe, you'll gasp for breath. You'll take your own breaths because breath and breathing are important for your own existence. Look at goodness like that. You don't need to do good just so that others will also do good. No. Goodness has to be done because it's a part of your own existence. If you want to be good, if you want to be pure, if you want to be happy, then just do good. His Holiness Prabhu Sai Maharaj often said, in the good of others lies our own. He never said that if you do good, then others will be good to you. That's not the reason. But goodness has to be performed like you breathe, like you nourish yourself, because at the end of the day, it nourishes you. But if you are worried that if you do good, then if others don't do good, then you just might be expecting more and you'll feel more and more miserable. But just as somebody plants a tree now, and the tree is supposed to grow after 50 years, he may not even be there to avail of the shade. But when you do something beautiful on this earth, when you do something that is for the goodness of others, it just makes the world a little better. So I personally feel that taking cue from everybody else, you should not truncate or you should not curb your own abilities to do good in expectations where others would do good to you or not. And as far as your other part of the question is, then what if they harm you instead of doing good? So what's the harm in it? I want to ask you, you and I won't be able to dictate other people's behavior. But yes, you can control your own behavior. It's not about expecting somebody else to do good to you, but as a beautiful example that Yogiji Maharaj often gave, that once there was a sadhu, a saint, and he was walking along a river. Suddenly there was a flash flood, and not just both banks of the river were a flood, but water was actually coming onto the shores and above the ground. There, the sadhu, ankle deep in flowing water, he saw a scorpion. And he thought that the poor scorpion would be washed away and it would be killed. So the duty of the sadhu was to do good. So initially he took a stick and he tried to touch the scorpion. The scorpion could not really grasp the stick properly. So he was about to be still washed away, and suddenly the sadhu stuck his hand and took the scorpion out of the water. Just as when he was taking it out of the water and about to put it on the shore, on a dry place, the scorpion stung the sadhu and the sadhu let go. Again, the scorpion fell in the water. Out of compassion, the sadhu put his hand back in. Again, as he was trying to bring it out, the scorpion stung it again. Third time, he did the same. Third time, the scorpion stung. And it went fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, almost 9 to 10 times the sadhu tried to pick the scorpion up to do good. And each time he picked it up, the scorpion harmed him, stung him. A passerby who was watching this entire process, he stopped and approached the sadhu and said, "But why do you keep saving the scorpion? When the scorpion keeps stinging you and dropping into the water, just let it go." The sadhu gave him an answer which should be highly appropriate for all of us. He said, "It is the nature of the scorpion to sting. If the scorpion does not let go of its own nature of stinging, why should I let go of my nature of saving him?" You must understand, if you consider goodness to be a part of your spiritual nature, then you must do good, come what may, whether somebody opposes you or not. As long as you have done good, those are the marks you get in the books of God. As long as you continue to be good and help people, that makes you happier. It's like you walking every day. It doesn't matter whether other people walk or not. As long as you walk, you become healthier. It doesn't matter if other people do good or not. As long as you continue to do good, you become a better and a more peaceful person. So just do good. Do not bother about other people.
Hi, Swami. Thank you for answering these wonderful questions today. Our second question today is from Tusharbai in Ahmedabad. His question of the evening today is, as you've spoken about Nelson Mandela, how can we believe in someone who has betrayed us in the past?
Well, each one of us experience such a thing, where our friends have sometimes lied, or where you felt cheated, or where you feel that somebody has been unjust to you. So each one of us pass through these times. But I just want to ask you, do not allow a single incident to control and dominate your entire life. Let me ask you that, have you changed or not? What you were 20 years ago and what you are now? If you have changed, then others change as well. If each one of us looks upon his or her life, we'll find out that perhaps in the past we have lied once or twice. But then we have understood that honesty is still better. We have been late to so many occasions. And if somebody just branded us that he's always a late comer and never gave us a second chance, then we would have never become punctual. Of course, there are children who have failed. But are they failures? We can overcome failure and pass and succeed again. How many times we hear in the success stories of the world, that some great people like Walt Disney or even Abraham Lincoln and so many other successful people who have failed again and again and again, sometimes have gone bankrupt. But because they tried again and again and again, they ultimately succeeded. I want to tell you that yes, somebody may have betrayed you once, but as a human being, it is our duty to give people a second chance. Would you or I not want a second chance? When we make a mistake, of course, we want a second chance to correct that mistake. And that's the entire idea of spirituality. Look at Sage Narad. When he was passing through the forest and he came across a ferocious robber, Valyo. Everybody had branded him. He himself accepted that he was a robber. It isn't that everybody else told Naradji. Valyo himself actually stopped Naradji to loot and rob him. But Naradji never branded him. He gave him an idea. He gave him a thought that whatever sins that you do and you are doing it for your family, go home and ask your wife and your children and your family that will you be a part of the sins that I commit? As all of them said no, he understood. He is doing it for somebody else, but nobody would be a part of the wrong things that he does. That's when a new dawn appeared and he took a second chance. And from Valyo the robber, he became the sage Valmiki. Had he not been given a second chance, of course, he had betrayed so many people and so many people felt betrayed by him. But spirituality is something that gives us a second chance of improving ourselves, of transforming ourselves. And when we take that second chance, we grow from within. So this idea of if somebody has betrayed you once, we still need to be human and give people second chances. You'll say that, Swami, but he's looted me. I don't say then give him money. I don't say that trust him with all your life. But do not brand such people. Give them a second chance. Pramukh Swami Maharaj gave not just a second chance, but many chances to everybody who came to him. Whether they were people who were addicted to smoking or to drugs. I remember one boy, he was so addicted to gambling. And he came to Swami. And then Pramukh Swami gave him a special resolve and an oath saying that I will not gamble again. But then after a few months, he started gambling again. When I once asked him that, how is your habit? He said, no, Swami, I've slipped back into it. I said, come back to Pramukh Swami. He said, no, but Swami, how can I come back to him? Because I know I've betrayed him. I said, you feel that you've betrayed him. Does he feel that? When I went down and asked His Holiness the Swami, he refuses to come to you because he feels that he has betrayed you and God. Very gently, Pramukh Swami said, then why don't you go and tell him that the heart of God and the Guru is larger than the universe. Even if you make mistakes as big as the universe, they are willing to forgive, forget, and to give you a second chance. I want to tell you, ultimately he did give up his habit and he is a happy, successful man. Had he not been given a second chance, he would never have had the opportunity to improve. So ultimately, as friends, as people, as human beings, we do not need to trust a person who has betrayed us with our lives, but we need to give everybody a second chance. Despite the fact our world history is filled with war after war after war after war, and wars continue to happen for small and frivolous reasons, we still believe in peace. We give peace a chance. Despite the fact that the number of divorces are just growing and growing and growing, people still get married. They give each other a chance. Despite the fact so many businesses failing, people still open up new businesses. And even those guys who have failed, when you and I give ourselves second chances so easily, why don't we give other people second chances? So life is not just about a single chance, it's about multiple chances to improve ourselves. So be generous. Yes, even to those who have betrayed you once. Try and forgive. Perhaps they may just turn out to become your best friends. And I believe such things happen more than often.
Thank you, Swami, for answering the previous question. So we have a third question. It's from Tarang from London. And this question, I think I can also relate to it. And I think I would have the similar question. And he's asking him, George Mallory found his own path by believing in himself. So why should we waste time in tolerating others when success is possible individually?
Is it possible individually? That's $1 million question. Theoretically, you might say it is. But practically, no individual can succeed on his or her own. What do I mean? Of course, George Mallory as a kid, when he said that he found his own path, but there he was climbing a hillock. But even then, it was not he who found that way. He saw a mountain goat. So in that small success that he did get, he was inspired by a goat. A goat did play a part. And was it possible individually? No, it wasn't. Because the teacher had already told him that it's a small hillock and you'll be able to climb it. Had he not known the terrain or the part of a hillock, or had he not known that they were going to climb, so the teacher did play a part in George Mallory's success. So even individually, he tried to get to the top of a hillock. It's fine. But George Mallory himself, when he went upon his ultimate expedition climbing Mount Everest, he had a team of people. And very often, great climbers say that to climb a peak of that stature, you need a rope team. A rope is attached to so many climbers, and the movement of all those climbers really guide you. So in climbing a mountain, you need a great rope team. That means it's not you individually, but so many people helping you. So for anybody to be successful in this world, they all need a rope team, people who help them in one way or another. And I also want to emphasize, the more we understand life, and perhaps there is no greater achievement on this earth or in this life than enlightenment. Yes, you can cross the oceans. Yes, through science, you can go to the depths of the oceans. Through the help of science, we've reached the moon and now the Mars. But I also want to tell you that we can do so much with all the technology and all the knowledge that we have. But the rarest of the rare is eternal enlightenment. And when Gautam Buddha was sitting in meditation under the Bodhisattva tree, and as he meditated days and months, a time came when he was about to reach nirvana. This is how it's been described. That moment of enlightenment. The whole cosmos was curious in wanting to know that what would be the first thing that Gautam Buddha would do after reaching enlightenment. So it is described in a more poetic way that all the people surrounded him wondering what he would do. The creatures were looking, hoping to understand what he does next. The gods from the skies were all looking down upon him, and everything living and non-living, animate and inanimate, was actually tuning up to find out what would be the first act that Gautam Buddha would do. And to everybody's surprise, after getting enlightenment and opening his eyes, very gently he stood up and then prostrated flat on the earth and folded his hands and turned to everything and everyone and everybody around him and thanked everybody in all humility by saying, "I am because of all of you." It wasn't that after enlightenment he said that you are because of me. Nope. He said, "I am because of all of you." So I think your question that if we can succeed individually is not appropriate, because we cannot succeed individually. We need the help of everybody, all the forces of life, all the blessings of everybody that we meet, and all the grace of God and our Guru to succeed. So that's how we should feel humble in our success.
Chirayu, I must say these questions are really ticking a few of my boxes personally, and I feel I can relate to it. Question, and now, Swami, one of the questions that we have for this evening is from Jay Aditya from Bahrain. And his question is, I feel believing in others is like you're investing into a stock. Someone don't know what is going on in someone's mind, and I cannot predict the outcome.
I believe that just because something is uncertain and unpredictable, to distrust it is not appropriate. Because there are so many things uncertain in your and my life. As you have just said, that because you don't know what's going on in somebody else's mind, you find it very difficult to trust them. But let me ask you, in all honesty, do you really know what's going on in your mind? If you and I really knew what's really going on in our mind, we would be able to control it. When we find it so difficult to control our own minds, it's obviously going to be much more difficult to fathom or control somebody else's mind. And once again, just because it's uncertain, to lose faith is actually foolish. I ask you, do you have any certainty that we are going to live the next day? Nope. The next minute? Nope. The next second? Nope. Do we still live? Yes, we do. We have faith in our own lives, not knowing what's going to happen the next second, next day, or the next year. Even when people study, is it a certainty that they'll get the same appropriate job that they're looking for? Nope. It's uncertain. Still, we have faith and we move on. If we really searched for just certainties, we would never be able to get married. When every couple that gets married, do they ever know that almost 30% or 40% would end up in divorce? We don't know. Still, we move on with faith and we go on and on. Trust and faith, despite the things are uncertain, is a quality of human life. When a mother has a baby in her womb for 9 months, and she's uncertain for the couple of early months whether it's a boy or a girl, and even once they are certain it's a boy or a girl, they don't know whether it's healthy or unhealthy. And even after the baby is born healthy, They don't know in the early years or the early times whether it'll catch disease or not. There are so many things uncertain in life, yet we continue to live, we continue to believe, and we continue to have faith. So many things are uncertain, but we live on. Similarly, whenever we pray, are we certain that we are going to get everything that we pray for? We may hope for, but we are never certain. Does that mean we should stop prayers? Nope. The fact that we pray, the fact that we believe, the fact that we have faith, and the fact we trust despite uncertainties around us is the quality of human life. And I believe just because you're not aware of what's going on in everybody else's mind does not give you the license not to trust anybody. The fact that you trust people who you think are good, the fact that you trust your own children, your own relatives, your own family, and your own friends, despite knowing that may not deliver whatever you really expect of them, gives them the hope to perform in a better way. I believe that if you stop trusting because of uncertainty, it is we that lose out. Let us continue to trust despite being surrounded by so many uncertainties in life. That is the joy of life.
So, Swami, this is the fifth and the last question. It's from Pujya from Muscat. She's asking, how can we learn to trust others? Because many times I feel that things will only be complete if I take control.
I think it's an illusion to think that only we can do things in our own lives. Look at our own lives. We exist because of others. When we were born, we survived because of others. As a baby, we did not even have the idea of choosing our food. Who carried us? Who kept us warm? In the first few years, we survived because of others. And we trusted. When we get old, once again we'll survive because of others. Because we will not even be physically capable of getting out of our bed. Somebody else will turn the temperature to our liking. The food that we get will be cooked by somebody else. Even our medicines and even our health will be taken care of by somebody else. So when we were born, we survived because of others. And when we get old, we'll survive because of others. Somewhere in the middle of life, we become so confident, perhaps so illusioned, that we think that others survive because of us. First and foremost, we must understand that even in the life that you live, I live, there's the role of so many people, knowingly or unknowingly, we depend upon for our own existence. For example, look around. Anything that you have, can you make it? Take, for example, a pencil. You think you bought the pencil. You're writing with the pencil. Who made the lead? Who cut the trees? Who created the pulp? Who actually shaped the pencil? If you and I had to do it, we'll never have a pencil. The light that we switch on, who makes that? Who creates that? So many known and unknown people you are trusting without asking, without even knowing, and you use that. When we have on a prescription medicine that this medicine should be taken twice a day or thrice a day, you don't even know who's written it. You don't even know who's made those medicines. Yet we trust people. You go into a plane, we trust the pilot. You go outside anywhere, even when you are driving. Yes, you're fine. You're not drunk and you're driving properly. But what about the hundreds of cars which are passing across? One of them may not be driving properly and might collide. But we trust everybody. I believe that our life depends on trust. But the problem in our own home is that because we are so close to the people around us, we've started looking at their idiosyncrasies, their own faults, so we begin to mistrust them or distrust them. Take for your own children. You give them something to do, and you know they won't do it because you or I might have a habit of overwatching, overseeing them, and make sure that they do this right till the end. You'll need to create an environment for people around you to trust you so that you can trust them back. I believe that maybe you may not get perfect things done perfectly, but once you start placing trust, a little trust, encouraging people around you, then all of these people will become helping hands. And maybe if it's your housework, maybe if it's your office work, maybe it's like coordinating in satsang pravruti, or maybe it's like coordinating across the world with friends. Trust is what will give you peace. So we need to think whether you want perfection in things or whether you want a little peace in the things that you do. Sometimes you may have to let go of certain amount of perfection to also enjoy and create a certain amount of peace. So rather than correcting everybody, rather than fussing about everything, we need to actually tolerate, accommodate, and create a best situation through trust and our own efforts. So once again, our own existence is a result of so many known and unknown people we trust. So why can't we put a little bit of more trust in the people around ourselves and create a greater home environment, a greater work environment, a greater temple environment, a greater friendly environment? It comes through trusting people in the right way.
Swami, once again, we would like to thank you for taking part in this Q&A. Pawan and I would like to thank you for answering the questions from the viewers that also answered a lot of my personal doubts and queries. So thank you, and we look forward to the next session. Thank you.
Before a big thank you, Pujya Brahmavihari Swamiji and our dear friends Chirayu and Pawan for such an enlightening and thought-provoking session. Moving forward, let us now take a glance into the current hot topic of the world, the talk of the world, the magnificent, best ever Expo 2020 in Dubai. As we know, there are over 192 countries participating with magnificent pavilions to represent their beautiful countries, one of which is India. It is our esteemed pleasure that amongst many displays, the India Pavilion also features the upcoming BAPS Hindu Mandir in Abu Dhabi, which in itself is a symbol of the power of believing in others. For those who wish to visit India in the UAE, they must experience India's vast culture, art, history, architecture through the upcoming BAPS Hindu Mandir in Abu Dhabi. A translucent crystalline model of this historic and iconic mandir atop artistic LED sand dunes interweaves astonishing dynamic display. The external facade of the India Pavilion comprises of more than 700 moving blocks with thematic video projections on which visuals provided by BAPS Hindu Mandir will also be displayed. Let us now watch a video of the Expo 2020 being held in Dubai now.
For 170 years, World Expos have showcased humanity's culture and innovation. From famous landmarks like the Eiffel Tower to popular products like the ice cream cone, the Expo 2020 in Dubai is the latest and greatest of that tradition. 3 districts, 190 countries, and thousands of events. For the next 6 months, the world is calling Dubai home. Welcome to World Expo 2020. India's pavilion at Expo 2020 spans over 4 floors, and it showcases India's role in humanity's future, from sustainability to spirituality.
Around a year back, I did basic design of this India Pavilion. Basic idea is to showcase entire India in different ways, like Make in India, Colors of India, Cosmic India, Self-Reliant India, Spiritual Side of India, Incredible India. So this is how all these floors were designed.
As you've gone around the pavilion, you must have seen many elements that are coming together. There's a complete section on yoga. There is a section which is completely dedicated to space. First floor, you have an immersive experience that you have. The second floor talks about the corporate stories, the multiple government initiatives that are taking place. We're celebrating India at 75. And all these elements are together because we were a huge team working with many aspects.
As the designs came together, the leadership of India and the UAE wanted to show the world how harmony and tolerance are essential to creating a better future.
To be invited by the leaders of the UAE and the leaders of India to create a display of the BAPS Hindu Mandir at the Expo 2020 is in itself a great privilege and honor. Because this year's Expo is perhaps the most participated in, the most engaging, and the most advanced expos ever. The concept and the idea of the Mandir at the Expo was a perfect fit because the core message of the Expo is connecting minds and creating the future. If you look at it in the longer term, the Mandir itself is a place that creates and generates harmony. It is a place that connects countries, cultures, ideas, beliefs, and religion. Hence, it is called a spiritual oasis for global harmony. Looking at it from a completely different perspective, the Mandir is not just connecting minds, but it is connecting dreams, prayers, hopes, passions of the people for the future of mankind. And in a way, it is a perfect fit.
This project showcases a milestone between the UAE-India relationship, how the UAE government has very kindly and graciously gifted the land for this landmark project. This project is truly a statement to the whole world, a statement of global harmony, of peaceful coexistence, and of the brotherly relationship between UAE and India.
Once it was decided by the authority that BAPS Hindu Mandir will be represented in this India pavilion, it was identified that the project would be displayed at 4 locations. 1 on the facade of the building, 2 the area which speaks about India-UAE relationship on the 2nd floor, 3rd the art section which talks about the Indian art and culture, and the last area was the ground floor. This area speaks about the reasons to visit India, and the model was kept in this area under the title Reasons to Visit India and to See India in the UAE. Once the location was finalized, the creative team started working on the project.
When we sat down to design the concept, our biggest challenge was we did not want to create a model display that was routine, dull, or dead. We wanted to bring in life, make it real, perhaps surreal. Because the BAPS Hindu Mandir is a testimony to the transparent traditions which are timeless. It is recreating art and culture that are thousands of years old for the next thousands of years. The second most important part was it relays values which are universal and spiritual, pure and pristine. The third, it was a great combination of tradition and ancient architecture and modern technology. And the last, the most important, was that a spiritual building is a building that glows from within. Most of the buildings, they have light thrown on them to generate light. Combining all these principles, we came up with an idea that the model of the mandir should be traditional, 3D printed, but it should be clear, transparent, almost crystal-like, so light can glow from within. And that light should not be just limited to the model itself. The entire land on which the mandir sits, which is a great gift from the rulers, is filled with light because you get inspiration from every nook and corner. Hence, we created an LED screen which would actually be dynamic and full of life. The third thing was, the temple represents a tradition which is timeless, which continues to flow from thousands of years towards thousands of years henceforth. So the three rivers, Ganga, Yamuna, Saraswati, they come from the left and go to the right. Hence the display, which is almost surreal, where you have a crystal-like model of the mandir and entire land which is lit up, as the mandir is right in the center as the focal point, but beautiful buildings that support for culture and spiritual activities emerge from the sands of Abu Dhabi.
I think मैं આ ટાઈપનો એક્ઝિબિશન જે વિઝ્યુલાઇઝેશન છે એ ફર્સ્ટ ટાઈમ જોયું છે. I think it's amazing. It's really inspiring, and it really takes you in.
When we got the project, we had a very tight timeline to finish, which was around 10 days. And for a project like this, we usually take close to 25 to 30 days. And this one's one of the main challenges, a very heavy file, which had like millions of triangles. So Sunil had to redesign the temple and made the file ready to be 3D printed, which took around 3 to 4 days of continuous work, and we were all here until midnight helping Sunil on the file. So our creative head Sunil was facing a lot of challenges, making the domes for the temple, and he was ready to give up, but our general manager Ali was there, and he encouraged him, saying that we have to do it and we can do it. So in the end, everything turned out to be perfect.
Thankfully, the design challenges were very manageable because the team was quite constructive, so we could help each other out in terms of design challenges. But some of the technical challenges were definitely getting the right kind of LED, because some LEDs were the right size, but we couldn't get the brightness. Some displays were really flawless, but you couldn't put them horizontal because of certain issues, and there were technical issues. But we made it through, and in a record time, it was the whole thing was done.
When we were designing the contours on which the mandir model is sitting on top of, we went through multiple renderings, multiple designs, each with a different dimension of ply, different gaps in between, different shapes. When we finally decided the shapes and the gap and the dimension, and so we decided to design each layer with CNC cut ridges within it, just like you would see in a dune in the sand in the desert. We finished it with a paint texture that feels like sand. So when you run your hand along the panels, you feel that texture, the graininess of sand.
When I was informed about the project, it was kind of hard to visualize where it's going to be, how it's going to look. But when I saw the final product, it was mind-blowing. It was such a great experience, and it was so rewarding.
Bringing these ideas together was not easy, but so many people from the UAE, from across the different countries, from India, from USA, from UK, and many other places, they all joined in a voluntary effort. And that's how this small, delicate, but beautiful display has been created.
It's a very euphoric feeling, and also of pride, because it looks magnificent. I mean, I'm really proud of what the whole team has achieved, and it makes me immensely happy when I see the whole display and it's all in all its glory. There's a huge pride in my heart to be associated with it, and obviously as an Indian, it really wells up my eyes sometimes. This is something that I'm happy to see in my lifetime, that there is a temple in the Middle East and we're part of it.
As an Indian, it's a great feeling to be able to know that there's going to be a Hindu temple coming up in Abu Dhabi here. I'm really excited. I'm going to definitely get my family, especially my grandmother, to come and visit the mandir.
It's something which is going beyond country, beyond borders, beyond cultures, and spreading light of humanity. That is what matters, and I'm happy that that is happening. It's spreading the light, and that is what really matters. That gives me an excitement, and એનો purpose humanity છે, એનો purpose બહુ જ વૈશ્વિક છે, એનો purpose કોઈ સંકીર્ણ નથી. So that is something which is really good. So I'm happy for that, and we are part of that culture. Vasudev Kutumbakam ji આપણે કહીએ છીએ, we are part of that culture.
I'm really excited to see this mandir, and it's a beautiful design. It's a piece of art, so it's a beautiful design, and I'm blessed. I would say that I'm part of the whole project, and anything which requires my input, definitely I'll be always there. So yeah, I'm really honored to be part of the whole journey.
I think it's not possible to describe the project in one word, but I could only say it's a dream come true.
Whilst I've seen many exhibitions around the world, this one, the Indian Pavilion at the Expo 2020, is very unique. Whilst there are many aspects, the most glaring and appealing one is to find the Murti of the temple in 3D, which one can see. And would you imagine that this temple is not even built yet? But there is so much of interest because it's the first. And anything that is a first garners a lot of interest. And the way this model is, it brings great excitement. What are we going to see? What is going to happen? I believe that this is going to be the most iconic temple in the world.
The Dubai World Expo brought nations together on one campus. The BAPS Hindu Mandir will bring the world together on one message: harmony. This is the story of BAPS Hindu Mandir featured at the World Expo 2020.
The cure. If given a choice, I'm sure we all would love to stay and continue our spiritual journey of knowledge with Swamiji. But everything that begins must come to an end, and so does this event for today. Let us hope that Swamiji's enlightening words on the importance of believing in others continues to inspire all of us as we move forward in life. Your Holiness Swamiji, thank you once again for sharing your knowledge on this topic this evening. Last but not the least, a special thank you to all the volunteers, to all the organizers, and all the supporters of this webinar. This webinar will follow up with another session which will further enlighten us on the topic of belief under the theme Belief in God. I once again thank you all for joining us today, and until we meet next, Jai Swaminarayan, stay blessed.